Yeah, I was originally going to make this video about the EDP 445 documentary and the insanity that was within that, and share my thoughts on it. And then late last night, I was scrolling through my phone, and I had learned of the passing of Hayden Panetteire. I remember her from way back in the day. At least for me, I was like 26, 27 at the time, and she was in Heroes, and then from there she had been in Nashville, on the TV show Nashville, and I didn't know that she was that young. 36 years old. That's way too young to die. But we know that there's no such thing really in this world as being too young to die, and or being too pretty, being too rich to die in this world. And I was thinking just now that her passing, and then this documentary that came out exposing this disgusting predator, EDP 445. There's something to be taken away from both of these events. One, why people like Bryant Moreland, aka EDP 445, why they need to be hunted down to the ends of the earth, and their asses need to be buried up under the jail cell, because their actions to sate whatever predatory desire that they have, whatever predatory appetite they have, they leave people like Hayden Panetteire as wreckage in their wake to live with the consequences of them indulging in their sick desires. I'm sorry if I sound like kind of I just got off of work, and there's a lot of other things in my life that's kind of weighing me down, and but getting back to this, you see the destruction that individuals like Moreland. Let's call this guy by his actual name. Let's stop, in a way, empowering him and encouraging him by calling him EDP 445. He's Bryant Moreland. He's a sad, pitiful slob that, according to the documentary, he can't get an actual woman, so he preys on children, and he goes after children. And even as pitiful and as pathetic as this individual is, being $30,000 in debt and dying of liver failure, kidney failure, in addition to eating himself to death, he still is able to escape justice for the things that he's done. Just like the people who victimized Hayden Panetteire had escaped what they did to her, and they continue to escape. And they have infinitely more resources and more money and more pull than Bryant Moreland could ever hope to have. There is something that needs to be said about predators within our society that I don't know. I have some idea as to what it is. A lot of the people that we have in power, I'm not going to come on here and name them specifically, but you can probably put two and two together and guess. The people who have power within our society, they're into that shit. They do this shit. And therefore, anyone else who engages in it, they're going to get a slap on the wrist, no matter how lowly in society they are. And well, and that's kind of a misnomer, because how you can't get any lower than somebody who would victimize a child, or even victimize a grown woman in that manner. And then another aspect of it is, I think, is that it's such a shock to the conscience of people that they can't fathom somebody actually doing that to a child. I mean, that's the optimistic end of it. That's the optimistic end of it. But it's the fact that, if anything, Hayden Panetteire's death should serve as a cautionary tale to people. Despite what you see on the outside, what happens to children, especially young women, when they are victimized in this way at an early age, and then what becomes of them as adults. She struggled with drug addiction. She struggled with, substance abuse. Jesus Christ. That's the price of doing a video in a public parking lot. But anyway. And she like I'm saying, she is the cautionary tale of the aftermath of this bullshit that animals like EDP 445, these Hollywood executives, these predators that wield power over children, what they leave after they have then satisfied their sick indulgence. And then our society hears about it and nothing gets done about it. There is no ramifications for these people. There is no reason why Brian Moreland is walking around free, other than the fact that the people who you would call the quote-unquote good guys, the ones that are trying to catch them, are equally corrupt as him. They're just not engaging in the same behavior that we know of as him. But their reasons were never to catch a predator, for lack of a better term. And then those who victimize Hayden Panetteire, nobody ever tries to catch them. Nobody ever tries to hold them accountable for their actions. It is baffling to me how you can go to prison for 5 years at minimum on a possession of a substance, a legal substance. You're not allowed to say the D word in regards to that on YouTube. God knows why. You can go to prison at minimum for 5 years for a first-time offense, but when you victimize somebody in that manner, when you victimize somebody in the manner that Hayden Panetteire and so many others were victimized in, you get deferred sentences. You get 2 years probation. You get this. You get that. You get ordered to see a therapist or some other such shit, but you don't get buried under the jail cell for it. You don't get. Very rarely do they get 5 years, 10 years. They may get that. I mean, they may look at that. They may be facing that, and then suddenly most of the charges get dropped. And they get deferred to a program and let back out on probation, where they do the same damn thing again, and they keep doing it, and they keep doing it until they escalate, and they eventually, do something that, well, they've already done something that can't be undone, but then they do something worse that cannot be undone. And then in the case of, like, the individuals that Hayden was having to deal with. They have so much clout and so much power that nobody would ever dare prosecute them. And it's sadly ironic how that documentary drops, and then this tragedy happens, and this young woman who had her whole life ahead of her, just 36 years old, has so much more living left to do. She passes, and she passes because her demons were too much for her to conquer. Because an adult, somebody that she trusted, put those demons on her shoulders and made it where a young woman, a child, had to carry those demons. And I looked up her birth date, and she died just 5 days short of her, what would have been her 37th birthday. I want you to think about that, just 5 days from her 37th birthday. And her daughter. And it's like it. I don't have any words to really describe how heartbreaking that is. I don't think calling it heartbreaking does it justice. Because not only do you have a young woman that is now deceased, sorry about the semi-trucking background. Not only do you have a young woman that is deceased now, but now you have a young woman who has left a daughter behind, and who's going to have to grow up without her mother. And the only thing that you can do now is pray that she doesn't have the same experiences that her mother did. That maybe the solution in that case is that she does not follow in her mother's footsteps into this industry and decides to do something else with her life. Go into any other kind of field, because what the last 10 years have shown me is that if you're young, you're female, and you're attractive, you are bait. And on top of that, you're born to the wrong parents, you will be fed to these hyenas that run Hollywood. And everyone around you will see it happen. They will know that it happened, and nobody will lift a finger to help you. I welcome anybody to leave, if I left anything out in this video. What are your thoughts on it? What are your comments? Leave your comments in the comment section. Like, share, subscribe, and it's just, this world is getting to be too much. It really is. Peace out.